I remember something that my bishop used to say, and he said it a lot, especially as he got older. And of course, the travails of life or the aches and pains of life began to afflict him. And he would just say, not complaining, just explaining. And I see what he means now. And what I've been doing over the last several days, I'm not really complaining about my position right now, or complaining about my physical ailments or my wife's physical health. I'm not complaining about it. No, please don't take what I'm saying as complaining. I'm not upset with God. I'm not upset with people. I'm just accepting as it is and thanking God for his keeping power. Just explaining as to how I got to this particular point. And I had left off, whereas we had we were in the nursing, she was in the nursing facility, not me. She was in a nursing facility, and how I would leave home around 8 or so, get there about between 9 and 10, and in the morning, and then not leave until 8 at night, and that was every day, even Saturdays. Sundays, my aunt would come and would relieve me so I can go to church, and then I would come right back to the nursing center. That's not to pat myself on the back. I want to also explain that too. I'm not trying to let people know, oh, I'm just a wonderful person who does this. No. I did it because I felt it was my responsibility to be with my wife, and that I love her. And that's just the way I showed it, by being there. It wasn't probably the best of times in terms of how everything went, because I was away from my house for all day, every day. But my house wouldn't have felt anything unless my wife was there anyway. So I went. But again, not complaining about anything at all. If I had to do it over again, I would. Because I needed to be, to me, it was not just me giving support to her, but it was her, by her improvement, giving support to me. She didn't have to say it, just her presence there. So, but after that, of course, we came home. And my objective was to keep her out of the hospital, to keep her out of being admitted. There were times I knew I had to go for whatever ailments that were there, go to the ER, check her out, see what it is. But since then, I think it's only been one time that she's had to be checked into the hospital. And I wanted to make sure that was the case. The reasoning being in that if she was in the hospital, then I was doing something okay. Not, again, to trump my own horn, but to know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm making sure that she's eating correctly. I'm making sure that she's not dirty and that she's not infected. Making sure that she took all of her medicines, and just making sure that she was okay. And by and large, the Lord has really blessed us that every time she did have to go to the ER, and the longer it was between the time that we left out of the nursing center until now, the longer stretches of time they should be without having to go into the ER. I began to trust that what I was doing was enough. Not that, again, I'm a doctor. She even told me before, I'm no doctor, and I'm definitely not a doctor. But that the Lord was blessing me to provide the way that, to me, a husband should provide. So the things that maybe I wouldn't have done earlier in my life, I have no problems doing it. I change her, I clean her up, make sure she's fed, make sure that everything's taken care of. I pull her up on the bed if need be. I sit her up, make sure that she's okay. If she calls, and usually this is the one thing that's kind of developed, that she doesn't say very much, but she says yes a lot. But if you've ever seen the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, you know there's this character called Groot. And all he says is, I am Groot. But those who know Groot understands how he says, the inflections of which he says, I am Groot, explains a lot more things than just saying, I am Groot. And I laugh at this just because a wife says yes. And there are times when she says yes, that's what she means. Yes. It's good. Yes. I ask a question. Yes. But then there are times where she says yes, and that's not what she means. For instance, if she says yes, then yes, then yes, I know something's wrong, because she's not saying yes in agreement. She's saying, yes, something hurts, or I want you now, and you're not around, and you're not paying attention to me. So she gets louder and louder. So I have to tell her that now. I say, after the first one, say, I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here. And I'll be with you in a minute or two. And that calms her down for a little bit. Then she goes up again. But these are things that essentially you pick up on. It's funny in a sense, but it's also part of communication. Sometimes, you wish that you can say more, and she can. It's funny, too. When she gets real mad at me, real upset, she will spell out words. It's like, I didn't know you could say that. And even though I know she's upset with me and I don't want her to be upset with me, I kind of laugh too, to myself, because she said it and she was clear. So these are things that you kind of chuckle with, you remember. Were these the memories that I wanted to have as we got older? No, but they're memories that we have now. And they will do. Because after all, she's alive. And I thank God for keeping her. One time, though, I was extremely frightened. One time that essentially, I say in my life, I was very, of course, the stroke was one thing. Then one morning, she was making some strange noises. And I turned my head, because I sleep on a cot or sleep on a day bed next to her. She has her own hospital bed. I'm on the day bed on the other side of the room, and the room is not that big, so it's not like I'm have to run across the room. But this particular morning, she was making some weird noises, and it woke me up, and I saw her convulsing, shaking. And she was in the middle of a seizure. I've never seen her had a seizure before in my life. And that, to be honest, it freaked me out. If there's any time I was scared, it was then, because to me, convulsing means that you're about to die. And that now I know that's not necessarily the case, but person has convulsions, and you read they have convulsions, then they succumb. With her, she had convulsions, and I didn't quite know what to do, but fortunately her tongue wasn't rolling around in her throat, so that was one of the good things, that it wasn't caught in her throat. But then, as I called 911, all I could do was pray. Lord, help your daughter. Please help your daughter. Lord, help her. 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 And then I saw her just stare out. She wasn't responsive, but she just stared. That probably scared me more than the convulsions. And I just kept praying. As the ambulance came, the paramedics came, took her out the room. I followed them to the hospital. And that fresh in my mind, she goes, of course, right into the ER, and then they stabilize her, then they take her right up to admittance. So she's now in the hospital. So I'm watching her then. And this time they tell her, I can't stay in the hospital. I can't sleep overnight. I gotta go home and come back. And first time in quite some time that I haven't been with her at some part of the night. First time in over a year, I would say, that I had to actually go leave her in the room and then come back in the morning. And at that time, I would get around 9 o'clock or so, 9:30 in the morning, then leave around 9:30 at night, maybe 10. But this time, I wanted to make sure that I knew two things. Number one, I didn't want them to leave her on her back because I knew she'd develop a bed sore. So I was very concerned about that. I learned my lesson from before. Then I wanted to know what caused the seizure. And after all the tests, another thing came up, whereas because of the seizure, her throat began to close up. And that's why they actually took her and had her actually in the hospital in the first place, was because her throat closed up and she was getting to a point where she couldn't breathe well. And so they had to hurry up and they had to intubate her, put a tube down her throat. Of course, that meant that she couldn't eat. Not the way that we would eat, that to put nutrients in her by IV. She stayed that way for a couple of weeks. First time they tried taking it out, and it started to close right back up. And said, Lord Jesus, only you know what's the best. Only you know what she's going through. Only you know what's best. So the second time they tried, said, Lord God, you help her. Because these doctors don't know. All they're doing is guessing. And they told me that we're going to try. I said, Lord, you can do better than try. You can do it. And he did. The Lord did that. He did it. They were concerned about her throat being scarred, and there was some scarring, but the tube was out of her throat. She was able to breathe relatively normally. Then maybe the next day she started to be able to eat and drink. And I learned something from that time. And maybe that was what really has made me very concerned about whenever she refuses to take her pills. It's not that I have faith in the pills themselves, but I believe that God works through whatever medicine man has made. And so here I am now. I'm talking about the things that she's went through. And after all is said and done, Lord, I thank you for her being alive. She shouldn't have been alive. She should have been killed by the stroke. She should have been killed by the infection. She should have succumbed to the seizure. But I thank God that she's here. And so sometimes she gets angry because I'm not there like this. And I deal with it. Sometimes she doesn't want to eat, and I kind of have to understand why. But I'm also learning her all over again. This is a process of me learning her. Not where I want her to be, but where she is. And sometimes we have to stop thinking about where we want our partner to be, where we want our love to be, and just remember and just think about where they are right now and deal with it. Am I this wise person? No, not in the least. There's so much I have to learn. But maybe in the case, that's also a bit of wisdom, that you don't know everything. That, yes, I can get help and advice. I remember my brother, Robert, this is my brother in the Lord, of course. My brother in the Lord, Robert, told me about how he had to deal with his mother who had seizures. And so that kind of comforted me and let me kind of watch out for it. And learning how to do different ways of dressing so that because of her stroke, her right arm, if I pull it back too much, it's excruciating to her. So I've learned how to, as my son said, why don't you just pull the dress up from her feet and so on. Oh, simple, but that helped keep her right arm from having to be pulled back. That was actually yesterday. That's how I was able to get her to church. But again, learning something every day. Learning something new. Learning that essentially, oh, you know what? Maybe the reason why her sugar sometimes gets high is because I've been giving her juices, which is healthy, but juices have sugar in it. And if I give her too much, it can hurt. But with all that, God can do it. God can do all things well. And I'll probably wrap it up sometime tomorrow in terms of what I'm speaking, but letting you know that I haven't given up. I'm not discouraged. God is still on the throne. God is still in control. And because he's in control, we're still here. So these snippets about what I am and what I'm going through, what my wife is going through, I'm fulfilling the idea of transparency, but being discreet. I'll talk to you later about it. And thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for your posts on Facebook. I see them all, and I thank you for it. That is a good point. That's a good point, Brother Matt. She can receive massage therapy, chiropractic. She's had occupational, she had physical therapy. At this point, she really does not really want any of those. So, again, I have to realize this is where she is, and I can't do anything unless she wants it done. So, if this is the way it is, then it's the way it is. But most of the time she's without pain. Again, it's just mainly her right arm that if I pull it back too much, it hurts. Like anyone's arm, but hers even more so because of the stroke. But again, this is all part of learning and understanding. But thank you so much for the advice and for the offering, because that lets me know that people do care, and I'll watch out for it. Thank you so much, and my last time I'm talking about this, not today, but probably tomorrow, I'll talk to you a little bit more about it, wrap it up. But this is not a story, but it's really a testimony. Think of it as a testimony of all that we went through. God has kept us. And that's how I think the Lord wants us to be, that God has kept us. So God bless you. God keep you. And thank you so much. Lord has given us strength even right now. Love you all. Take care in Jesus' name.